This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shashina Roll. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news, a massive manhunt is underway tonight for the gunman responsible for the murder of a Grand Bahama Customs officer. Reports say the officer was accosted yesterday afternoon by two armed men who shot the officer and made their escape in his vehicle. Kimberly Mullings has this report.
Grand Bahama Island marking its second murder in less than 48 hours and sixth for the year. 49-year-old Customs Officer Kevin Hanna was gunned down outside his apartment complex in South Bohemia around 5:30 Thursday evening. Senior Assistant Commissioner of Police Emric Seymour led a team of officers at the scene conducting an intensive investigation.
Police along with EMS personnel responded, and of course met a male lying on the ground there with what appeared to be gunshot wounds about the body. He was immediately transported to the Rand Memorial Hospital to undergo the necessary medical treatment for the injuries he sustained.
Senior ACP Seymour says police are unaware of the circumstances that led to the fatal shooting, but police are determined to get to the bottom of it.
We can tell you that the victim's vehicle was reportedly taken to by the assailant or assailants, whoever they are, and we are in the process now of trying to put heads or tails of this whole incident to make a determination as to what transpired.
Seymour noted that this incident, which occurred in broad daylight, is a concern for officers and citizens alike. He calls these acts brazen, which cannot go unresolved.
It speaks to the fact that we're dealing with a mindset of persons who just don't care, just don't care. But people's lives, people's property, in the middle of the day, big broad daylight, they can commit an act such as this. And we will do everything. We will leave no stones unturned to bring this matter to a swift resolution, because we know that the victim has a family, and of course, for the general concern of members of the public as well, we want to put all of their fears at ease.
Word of the fatal shooting spread like wildfire, and Hannah's colleagues began assembly outside the Rand Memorial Hospital in tears, mourning the death of a well-loved and respected co-worker. Kimberly Mullings, ZNS Network News.
Now, the brutal slaying of Customs Officer Kevin Hanna is a nightmare for members of the Bahamas Customs Department on Grand Bahama. This morning, officials met with members of the media to express their shock and their disbelief. They have also launched a counseling session to help with the grieving process. Joan Davis-Roll has this story.
We come together as a Customs family, God, as we mourn the death of our fallen officer.
The colleagues of 49-year-old Customs Officer Kevin Hanna wept openly as they struggled to come to grips with his tragic death. Hanna was shot to death outside of his home in South Bohemia, the fatal shooting sending shockwaves throughout the Bahamas Customs Department here on Grand Bahama, where Hanna was employed for some 29 years. Assistant Comptroller of Customs on Grand Bahama Sheriff Martin says the department is devastated.
It is with great sadness that we announce the passing of our colleague and friend, Senior Customs Revenue Officer Kevin Hanna, whose life was snatched away by evil men, but whose spirit remains a bulwark and stands as a testimony to those of us who knew him.
Hanna came up through the ranks of the Bahamas Customs Department. His last posting was here at the harbor, where he was stationed as a supervisor.
Kevin was intelligent, honest, and very reliable, for they are the virtues of a good civil servant. And his contribution to our Bahama land will be etched in our memories. He served with distinction with the Customs Department, where his service was required at the Freeport harbor, and where he would have met most of the residents arriving on the ferry vessels from foreign and businessmen throughout the northern Bahamas.
Martin recounted the moment at the Rand Memorial Hospital where he learned that this officer, hailed as a gentleman who served with distinction and was so full of life, had passed.
When I went into the operation theater, I met a slew of detectives, and they introduced me to the sergeant, and they took me into a little small room. and I met one or two, and I think Ms. Rampasad and one or two other persons were there and crying. So I had no knowledge that he had passed. So I asked them, why are they weeping? Why are they crying later? They say he didn't make it. On behalf of the Comptroller of Customs and his executive staff, officers and members, including the clerical staff of the Customs Department, staff of the Immigration Department in Freeport, civil servants throughout the country, we extend our sincerest condolences to his wife Paula, his daughter Tashura, mother Mildred, and his entire family. May his soul and the souls of all departed rest in peace.
ZNS Network News.
Thank you, June. Well, Hannah's colleagues, many of whom shared the same profession for decades, say he has left an indelible mark. Officers Elton Neely, Ken Flowers, Larry Bodie, and Brenda Ferguson say Kevin Hanna was respected as a consummate professional.
I went out to harbor yesterday to collect some paperwork, and I saw Mr. Hanna. He was very bubbly. I looked at him. He looked sharp always in his uniform. And we spoke. We laughed. And then a few hours later, I saw him at the run lying down, lifeless.
We all saddened and grieved terribly of his sudden passing. In fact, I personally just saw Mr. Hanna yesterday. He was in the human resources section. He was just elected to attend a course for 3 weeks in Nassau, and he had only come into the office shortly before 5 to make the final preparation for his travel. He was very jovial, as always, and very, very relaxed. And 15 to 20 minutes after that, we got a call that he had just been shot.
Simply a professional, and he believed in executing his job. That's just was Hannah. You know, he was a jovial person. In my view, he didn't get in anyone's way.
He's a stern officer, but once you get to know him, you would understand the type of person he was. So he's going to be greatly missed.
Now on hand Friday to offer grief counseling and help to officers and help them cope with Hannah's tragic death was psychologist Dr. Pamela Mills.
I wanted to be here this morning, colleagues, to express condolences on behalf of the Ministry of Education, but also to show you support and to help you to get through this most difficult time. You know, grief is always around us, and no matter how often we go through the grieving process, we never get used to it. So I'm going to be here for as long as you need me today, and after the press conference, for those who want to stay around, we can do a little group session to help you begin the process of grieving.
Meantime, police are also investigating the murder of 20-year-old Tramiko Johnson. The 20-year-old resident of Frobisher Circle was shot and killed while at the fish fry in Smiths Point around 2 o'clock Thursday morning. Police say Johnson was shot several times about the body and was taken to hospital in a private vehicle where he died a short time later. Police are appealing to anyone who may have any information on any of these incidents to contact the Central Detective Unit office at telephone numbers 350-3107 through 12, 911-919, or call your nearest police station. And the escalating rate of crime was one of the issues addressed at a men's conference hosted by the Freeport Bible Church. Guest speaker at the event, Senior Assistant Commissioner of Police Emerick Seymour, says the public must get involved. Italia Hall reports.
The annual men's conference focused on issues that are relevant to the church and the wider community. The senior pastor of the church, Wilbur Alden, says crime should not just be a concern of the police, but a community concern, starting with the church.
We are going to strengthen our underground community outreach because our theme for this year is Beyond the Walls, where we take this strategy to other segments of the community. We are really looking at how we can really make a major difference in turning things around in the Grand Bahama community.
A number of men turned out for the conference and listened attentively as the Senior Assistant Commissioner of Police shared statistics on the level of crime on Grand Bahama. Seymour adding that he will not be satisfied until there is a total eradication of crime in the Northern Bahamas.
That may be a difficult task, but I'm prepared to try. One act of criminality, wherever it happens, is one too many. One act is one too many. And yes, we've seen significant decreases in the amount of criminal activities over the past 4 years in Grand Bahama. I mean, significant decreases. However, we're still having too many lawless acts.
The Senior Assistant Commissioner of Police, Emric Seymour, says a lot of young men in the country are misguided, and it's the senior man in this nation that should step up to the plate and assist.
We've seen cases and evidence where these children don't have role models in their lives, don't have father figures in their lives, and then of course, and so they are aligning themselves with these groups and gangs. All of us know how we came up in the country, all of us older men, and we know that if it wasn't for some person who were in our lives making those positive impact and positive influences for us, then of course a lot of us wouldn't be where we are. And so I'm saying the same thing now. Let us go back and let us reach out to these young men.
Seymour says the church is partnering with the police department, and he is encouraging other corporate citizens to do the same to help create a crime-free Bahamas. It's Talia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Thanks, Italia. Well, this just in, police needs your help in locating 2 men wanted for questioning on the charge of murder. Tavares DeMonte Backford, age 39, is a resident of Domingo Heights, New Providence, and frequents the ghetto. He is of medium brown complexion, average built, about 5 feet 7 inches tall, 145 pounds with a low haircut. Now, the second suspect is Sean Alfred Saunders, aka Dirty. The 43-year-old man lives at number 32 Perth Lane, South Bahama, and is also known to frequent the ghetto. Saunders, alias Dirty, is of medium brown complexion, 5 feet 2 inches tall, 150 pounds, and he wears a goatee. Police say both men are considered armed and extremely dangerous and should be approached with caution. Now, if you know the whereabouts of Tavares DeMonte Backford or Sean Alfred Saunders, aka Dirty, you are urged to contact police. Stay with us, there is more news right after this.